Hello and welcome, lovely people. I hope all is well with you. My name is Melissa, and without taking up too much of your time, I want to talk you through 4 ways to uncover your identity. A quick disclaimer before we dive into the substance of the video. All of the content that I discuss on this channel is based on my own life lessons and personal experiences, so they are my own personal reflections essentially. So if you are struggling with any bigger challenges, I strongly suggest that you speak to a licensed therapist or psychologist. Okay, let's dive into it, shall we? Who am I? Who are you? Who are we? And how do we get to a place where we can answer this question very well? Figuring out who you are can be a very empowering and very fulfilling experience in your life. There's a real strength in knowing who you are on a deeper level. And in my first video, I spoke about the importance of having a strong sense of self, which I believe is the very foundation of living a life of confidence, clarity, and purpose. If you haven't seen it yet, I also encourage you to take a look at that video for a deeper dive into why self-discovery is such an important thing. But this also raises various questions. How do we get there? And how can we take steps to truly know ourselves? Through my personal blog, which I see as a digital journal of sorts, I have continually interrogated these questions as it relates to both my personal life and my professional life. In addition to that, going to therapy, reading some very powerful books on emotional intelligence and related issues, as well as a personal growth course, which I did in 2022 with Chrysalis Development Solutions. I've linked their website in the description below. Shout out to them because that was an incredibly transformative experience for me. But through all of those experiences, I have been able to unpack my personal narrative and personal story and understand how my past now impacts my present. So drawing on these experiences, I've picked up on a few things that have helped me understand myself on a much deeper level. And so here are 4 things that you can do to uncover your identity, along with some practical tips to actually put this into practice. Number 1, carve out some time for regular introspection. Very few of us actually dedicate any time to the self-exploration enterprise. I mean, life gets in the way. We've got too much going on in the society that we live in right now. Often we don't have the luxury of being able to really sit with ourselves and sit with our thoughts for a long period of time. But you can't really know yourself very well if you don't actually dedicate any kind of time to understanding yourself through introspection. So what is introspection? Well, basically, it is the process of taking a deep look inside yourself. So diving into your thoughts and your feelings, dissecting your mental and emotional processes, learning what triggers you, and getting to grips with what your strengths, weaknesses, and talents and limitations are. I find that one good way to engage in introspection is through journaling. And so sometimes, when your mind is racing quite a lot, it can be very hard to organize those thoughts. And I think writing really helps you do so. It can help you kind of order those thoughts in a way that enables you to kind of find clarity in all of those crazy thoughts that are racing through your mind. So I personally find writing to be both enjoyable and cathartic. So I find journaling to be it's been such a game changer for me, and it really has been super, super helpful in me engaging in this introspection enterprise. But writing also may not be your thing too, which is also totally fine. I mean, there's other ways that you can do it. You can record a voice note on your phone. You can generate words using a word cloud generator. You can create a mind map. You can do sketching. I also sometimes like to do a little bit of doodling here and there. It kind of also helps clear my mind a little bit and helps me kind of focus. You can talk to a therapist. There's so many ways that you can do this that don't involve writing if that's not really your thing. So you just have to find whatever helps you reflect in the most natural way possible. Also, when it comes to doing the whole journaling thing as well, if you are struggling a little bit, I've also linked in the description a blog by Psych Central, which is quite a useful website that I've looked at quite often, especially when interrogating these questions of identity. And in that blog, they have created 64 journaling prompts. So there's a lot for you to draw on if you are stuck. And that can help guide you. What you can also do is find journals that also have built-in prompts, which you can find in some stationery shops and in some bookstores. I've come across a few of those. I think including in the Christian bookstores, they also have a few of those. to help kind of like guide you in terms of just kind of like ordering your thoughts and kind of doing the introspection in a very focused and constructive way. Prompts can really be very, very helpful for that. What you can also do is use AI tools like a ChatGPT or Perplexity, whichever one that you prefer. That's also a good way to kind of help you understand your emotional state as well. If you prompt it in the right way, maybe we should actually do a deep dive into that in a future video, how AI can also help with that. Because I mean, everyone's talking about AI these days, so maybe that's a useful topic for another video. But I digress. The point is, you don't want to get yourself too overwhelmed with all of the racing thoughts in your head and in your mind. So journaling can really help you order those thoughts and really unpack in a constructive manner. Number 2, map out your core beliefs and values. Ask yourself, what do I care about deeply? What is it that I hold in high regard in life? Do I want to climb the corporate ladder? Do I want to find a job that just pays the bills? Do I want a career that I'm actually proud of? Do I want to fight for social justice? Do I want to build a family or build an empire, or perhaps both? What is it that drives me? What is it that moves me in this life? These kinds of questions will help you uncover what matters the most to you. And so your beliefs and your values, they shape your decisions, they shape your relationships and the goals that you set for yourself in your life. And maybe those values will come from your faith, if you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Hindu, etc. Or maybe these values have also been shaped by your own kind of personal experiences or various cultural influences. And all of these beliefs, this belief system that you have, informs the kinds of values that you might hold dear as well. Such as, for example, you might value things like honesty, integrity, independence, altruism, fairness, justice, respect, etc. And some of the things that you might also value include wealth, family, religion, career, health, love, sex, friendship, fame, knowledge, etc. And so to understand what your values are, you may also want to explore some key questions such as, what makes a good partner, parent, or friend? How can I be a better partner, parent, or friend? What does an ideal day look like for me? If I had no limitations at all, what would I be doing with my time? What brings me joy? What brings me sadness? What makes me angry? What makes me frustrated? What does failure look like to me? What does success look like to me? I mean, I could go on and on, but that would be, I think, it would have to be an entire video on its own. But essentially what I'm trying to get you to think about and to ponder is, what is it that you hold in high regard in life, as I mentioned? What do you consider to be the most important things to you in your life? And what is all of that rooted in? And those sorts of reflections will help you really uncover who you are as a person. Beyond these questions as well, another thing that you can do is, those like get to know you type questions that you might pose to a potential partner, like a 21 questions, or you may have seen the videos on the 36 questions that lead to love. I just forget now which platform it was posted on, but it's based on a study by a psychologist called Arthur Aaron. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, but I will and have linked it in the description. I have linked it in the description below. But yeah, so essentially those questions are very useful, not just to do with a partner or with a friend, but also to do by yourself. I've actually done a few of those. I've done 21 questions with at least 2 partners before, and that was a really cool exercise to kind of help us deepen our connection to each other and understand each other a little bit better. But also doing it solo was also really, really fun and really enjoyable and really helped me get to understand myself on a deeper level. So yeah, I strongly encourage you to also do that too. Try them solo and see what you discover about yourself. You never know. Number 3, do some personality tests to get a better sense of your likes, dislikes, strengths, and weaknesses. Our personalities have a really huge bearing on how we move through the world. Our general outlook on life, the type of company that we keep, the types of careers that we pursue, and so on. So therefore, understanding your personality can be a really powerful way to come to a place of self-awareness and to help you zero in on what is behind all of your life choices. I suggest trying out a variety of personality tests and self-assessment tools to give yourself a nuanced picture, not to box yourself in too much. Remember, no single test is definitive and should not just be taken as the gospel truth. our unique life experiences is also what shapes our personalities. And so there are a range of very reputable tools that are grounded in psychology that also can help reveal patterns in how you think, how you behave, and how you relate to other people. One test that I found to be particularly helpful is the Myers-Briggs type indicator. And I mean, not everybody really likes this test very much, but I found it to be quite useful the times that I've done it. And it's available on 16personalities.com. It's based on Carl Jung's theory of psychological types. And it's quite a famous one. I think everyone knows that one. But not everybody enjoys this test, as I've said. I mean, I've also done the in the Enneagram, but I've gotten two very different results. I was a little skeptical about that. I did it around the same time, so I wasn't really sure about that one too much. But both of them really helped me see, my strengths and weaknesses and certain qualities in myself and my blind spots, and including how my personality has kind of served me very well and supported me in certain instances, and has kind of maybe let me down in certain other areas of my life. But I also think that the tests, are also influenced by, your state of mind at the time that you're also taking them. And sometimes we may not always have the best kind of sense of what we think we would do in this particular situation. So like I said, they are, subject to a couple of flaws here and there, but still very eye-opening, very helpful. I think other great options that you can look at are career aptitude tests. I've done a few of those since I was quite young, I think from my high school days. And I find them to be very interesting and quite a fascinating kind of topic to dive into, to think about like where I could be best placed, and where my strengths lie and how that could lend itself to me getting the type of job that would really suit me very well, and which can align with my personality traits with potential job parts. Emotional intelligence assessments are also pretty useful. I've done a few of those too, which can help you highlight how you manage your emotions, how you connect with other people. I've also done some tests on different attachment styles as well. I'm sure a lot of us who are into this kind of stuff have also looked at attachment theory and taken deep dives into that as well. So that's also quite interesting window into understanding how you show up in relationships as well. So I've done a few of these myself, like I've said, and I found them to be quite opening and quite eye-opening, and quite useful. So you might also find some value in them as well. But like I said, just approach them with some level of caution and some level of kind of not necessarily skepticism, but just be a little bit cautious about them. And another thing that I will never, ever stop raving about is the personal growth course that I did with Chrysalis, which I mentioned earlier in the video, and I mentioned in another video, and I'm sure I will mention again in another video. So just bear with me. But yeah, I thought it was such a valuable means for me to take a really, really deep dive into my personal story and my personality in general, which is something that I highly, highly recommend if you get the chance to do so. It's such a wonderful experience. It was also very, very difficult emotionally and very, very, very hard, very challenging, but I think it's really important to rise to the occasion. I'm so, so glad that my friend had recommended that I do it. It was, yeah, wonderful experience for sure. Number 4, do a life audit. So I have, on almost a yearly basis, done a life audit before I even knew it had a name. And actually, I've done it actually not even just on a yearly basis, but actually every so often when I've had a major life change. And for me, I find it to be a bit more useful than New Year's resolutions, for example. But if that also works for you, then by all means stick with that. But essentially, a life audit is a deep dive into, or rather just taking a step back and assessing different aspects of your life, be it career, finances, your love life, overall relationships with all sorts of people, hobbies, personal growth, etc. So I came up with my own system over time of how to do this, but there are so many online resources that can help guide you through this whole process. And the point here, most importantly, is not just to map out what your achievements are or to just look at your failures, but to rather, kind of check in with yourself and get a sense of your general kind of like well-being, your priorities, your values, and your evolving sense of self. Now, you also might be wondering what this has to do with finding your identity, and just hear me out a little bit, just bear with me. So a life audit gives you the chance to really reflect on, where you are right now. and how far you've come and where you still want to go. It also helps you understand, if you do it on a regular basis, like, to see progress and see how much you've actually grown as a person too. And to get a better sense of who you're becoming, if that is kind of regressing for you or if that is making progress and moving forward and evolving into the person that you want to become. So it really helps you reconnect with your priorities and your values in a big way. So if you want a good place to start, then I highly recommend a video by a creator called Jules Ackery, and I hope I'm pronouncing their name correctly, on how to do a life audit. It even comes with a workbook, and I've linked it in the description below. And it's a simple, practical, and honestly, a really great tool to help you get aligned with the kind of life that you want in general. So that's why I really advocate for doing life audits, because I think that they are so useful and a great way to kind of get a glimpse into who you are as a person. So those are my 4 ways of uncovering your identity. And I hope that you found the practical tips to also be quite useful. And if you are struggling with trying to figure out who you are as a person, that these kind of point you in the right direction. But please also let me know if you've kind of done all of these things, if you feel like it's unnecessary, or if you've maybe done your own thing, or have over time, just through your own life experiences, gotten to terms with an understanding of who you are as a person. I'd love to hear what you think about all of this. But in the next video, we're going to be looking into what having a high sense of self-awareness looks like in kind of, I guess, in a more practical kind of sense, to really drive all of these points home, and to really get a sense of, again, why having a sense of identity, a strong sense of identity, is so important. If you found this video to be in any way enjoyable, inspiring, educational, or informative, then please do give it a thumbs up. And if you are so inclined as well, please leave a comment. I would love to know your thoughts on the subject matter. What do you consider to be some good ways to kind of get a better grasp on your identity? And do you feel like you've gotten to a point where you know yourself very, very well? Has it come with age and experience? Do you feel like you've always known who you are? Please comment below and let me know. Otherwise, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Bye-bye.